Hello and welcome. It's that time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is. Everyone here on YouTube. It's October, which means it's time to get into some spooky and to get into some scary. Some scary stuff. So there is a new reboot Hellraiser film on Hulu, which officially came out yesterday, but since it's October and I haven't reviewed any of the Hellraiser films, let's talk about them. So I'm not gonna be. So there's like what, one, two, three, four, five, six. There's like 10. There's like 10 Hellraiser movies. 10 or like a dozen. But anyway, there's like a bunch of Hellraiser movies in this franchise, and I'm not gonna be talking about each and every single one of them in detail because that's going to be too long and I don't want to take up my time and I don't want to take up your time either. So so here's something you should know about what I think about the Hellraiser. I know it has something to do with Pinhead. I know the main antagonist is Pinhead. I know it has something to do with this box. Something about Cenobites. Uh, that's it. And also chains. A lot of chains and a lot of gory body getting ripped apart. So yeah, that's what I know before I've seen the films. Now that I've seen it, I am horrified. So yeah, unlike you know, there's like a lot of horror films out there. Mostly horror films out there. Most of them are slasher films. A couple of them are, a couple of them are, are like supernatural, and there are like a few of them that's like psychological. There's like different types of horror genres. This is more of a body horror, which is like this is more something. This franchise would open a new world of the horror franchise, something called body horror. So yeah, unlike the A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, unlike those, this franchise is very, very graphic, and it's not my cup of tea. Um, every time someone gets their bodies ripped apart, I just have to close my eyes. I have to. I have to close my eyes. I have to look away because I can't handle the disgusting gore. So let's talk about the original. So the original film has has some great acting, excellent practical effects that make the scenes look real and terrific. Amazing and scary designs of the Cenobites. It looks very, very scary. And they steal the show. The Cenobites steal the whole movies. It has a very unique premise for a horror film. You got to like open the box. And speaking of the box, is there someone on YouTube or a fan of the franchise? Can you explain to me how the opening the box works? Because like sometimes you open the box and it opens a door to the Cenobites, and the Cenobites appear. But also, if you open the box, fucking chains come out and attack you. So, which is very painful and violent, and I don't like it. It's like I'm very confused at how opening the box, the effects of opening the box work. Does it like open a door? Does it like chains come out? Like what does it do? Like the effects are so random and it confuses me. But anyway, it does have a very shock value. It does a great job shocking the viewers with the grotesque body dismemberment and puddles of flesh. Um, and this original film, the original Hellraiser film, 1987, spawned one of the most popular horror film franchises in recent years. So yeah, there are some very brutal death scenes, by the way, in the original film. But Hellbound is the second film. Let's take a step forward. The second film really explores the world of this whole Hellraiser, universe, I guess you could say, which is something the first film I wanted it to do, but we got just a little hints of it and a couple mentions here and there, but we didn't really actually see it. Hellbound is when we actually open a doorway to, I guess you could say, another world with Leviathan, this giant like entity in the shape of a very elongated like diamond, like rotating above this huge ginormous labyrinth. And by the way, this movie came out in like the late 80s, and it and the effects of the labyrinth look really, really good. Like, not bad, not too bad. I mean, it could be green screen but something, but it doesn't look horrible. It doesn't look atrocious. um and the effect, nothing like Alien 3. But yeah. And what I love about the Hellbound, out of all this franchise, I love Hellbound. Hellbound is my favorite, in my opinion, my favorite film in this whole franchise. And it's not saying that much because most of the films in this franchise suck ass. So Hellbound, I love how this film really tries to humanize the character of Pinhead. Like Kirsty, one of the protagonists of this franchise, shows Pinhead a picture of himself, or who he was before he turned into this Cenobite, Pinhead. And then Pinhead starts regaining his memories. Yeah, it's so sad, really, that when you think about it, that all of these Cenobites, they used to be humans that were either manipulated, or maybe they gave in, or maybe they were hungry for desire, maybe they were curious. Something happened that made them like open the box, and something happened and it turned them into a Cenobite. And I know, like, in the original two films, it's Pinhead, but there's also some other Cenobites. The female, the only female Cenobite of the entire group, Butterball, the Chatterer. I know them. I know them. I've seen them. I've heard people talking about them. A lot of the fans know them. But yeah, and Pinhead, he looks at the picture of himself, his human self. He gets his memories back, and he actually he actually went ahead of himself to like save Kirsty and Tiffany from that evil like doctor who turns into this like it turned into this powerful like Cenobite. The doctor from the beginning of from that the film follows with. And I was so sad that he was killed off, that Pinhead and all the other Cenobites were killed. But I guess it is what it is. But yeah, he actually went ahead to protect Kirsty and Tiffany from that evil doctor. So I really loved how this film really tries to humanize and develop the character of Pinhead. Now, the third film, I would say, is the final film of this franchise. I wanted it to be the final film of the franchise because after the third film, Hell on Earth, Bloodline, and then everything else after that just went downhill. Yeah. So, Hell on Earth, we get a new cast of characters. Kirsty is not in it. I think I heard like she had a cameo. I saw someone's review of Hell on Earth, and it was a spoiler review. He was talking about like, he said that Kirsty had a cameo. I was like, granted, I only saw the film Hell on Earth once, and then that's it. So my mind must have forgotten about Kirsty's cameo, if she did make a cameo in Hell on Earth. But anyway, we got a new cast of characters, and the main protagonist, I'm not even going to pretend that I know her name, that I know her character's name, or the actress, because I don't know any of them. Um, but yeah, she gets flashbacks of this war. She meets a man. She meets a man who used to be Pinhead. Like, it's his human form, and his name. He introduces himself. He says, like, "My name is Captain Elliot Spencer." I believe his name is Elliot Spencer, but yeah, his name is Captain Elliot Spencer. And then he talks to the main protagonist. He tells her that my evil counterpart, Pinhead, he's out there. He's going to unleash, hell on earth, which is the title of the movie. And we have to stop him. And we have to stop him before he, fucking massacres everyone. And so I like that. I like the idea of, the human versus the monster. The human versus the monster, or in this case, the Cenobite, And I like that idea. And like, it's Elliot versus Captain Elliot Spencer versus his, the good Captain Elliot Spencer versus the evil bad, Pinhead. And the one scene I will always remember from Hell on Earth is when Pinhead is at that nightclub, bar, whatever, and he kills everyone. He massacres everyone in that nightclub, in that place. The DJ, he kills the DJ with his own CD players, with his not player, with his the disc, the CD disc. Like, that was like, I mean, yeah, it is a little bit campy. I mean, I will admit, Hell on Earth is a little bit does dip into the camp factor, but I don't care. I find it very enjoying and satisfying. And also, this is actually, I believe this is the first. Now, I want to reassure everyone. I want to make sure I want to clarify something. I've only seen all of these films once. I saw the original Hellraiser movie, the 1987 original Hellraiser movie, like 3 times. By the time, as of today, 3 times. Everything else, I've only seen it once. So yeah. But I will always remember that scene. And unlike the first 2 films, maybe, it was mentioned and it was like teased, like as a possibility. But in Hell on Earth, we actually physically see. Well, we don't actually I don't know if we physically saw, but like we see like that. Yeah, humans can turn into Cenobites. They can turn into Cenobites, but it's all based on, your qualities, your characteristics, your personality traits, all of that. So, the CD, like the DJ turns into a Cenobite with a CD player, like, on his chest, which, like, fucking shoots out, like, CD discs. And then the cameraman, he has, like, like a camera lens, like, in his eyeball, and it which, like, zooms in and zooms out. Like, it was, and that camera Cenobite had some of the best, like, one-liners and puns. Like, oh my god. But I love it. Bloodline, I didn't really like Bloodline. Alright, so did I say episode 4? Like, this is a Star Wars. Like, this is Star Wars. No. Did I say episode 4 like it was Star Wars? No. What I meant to say was Bloodline. So here on out, Bloodline, Inferno, Hellseeker, Deader, Hellworld, Revelation, Judgment, whatever. All of them, from here on out, this is when the franchise really dipped downward. Because it's like, okay, the 4th movie explores the origin of, I mean, Pinhead is in it, and we also have this new character, Angelica, whatever, who is like a princess of I don't know, of hell. I don't know what I don't understand that. But anyway, it really explores the origin of the puzzle box. It flashes back and forth between, the future, the far future, the distant past, and I also think maybe the present timeline too. I could be wrong about that. Like I said, I only saw the film once, you know, but yeah, I I it's just something. It's just not I. It just really explores the origin of the puzzle box. Inferno does something very different than the other films. This is actually this is actually it's actually more of a psychological, Hellraiser Inferno really is more of a psychological horror film than like the other films, like the previous films, which is more like a body horror. But yeah, Inferno. Not by the way, Scott Derrickson. Yes, the Scott Derrickson directed Inferno. Scott Derrickson, which I know from Inferno, of course, the first Doctor Strange film, but then recently the Black Phone. He directed Inferno, and they went to a different route. Inferno was, like I said, a psychological horror. I don't know why they decided to make it a psychological horror. Maybe they wanted to make a make a twist, see how this turns out. Unfortunately, it fails so miserably. I mean, like, I could just I mean, like, Inferno is unnecessary, you know because, like, unlike the previous, because of the previous film Bloodline, which, it completes and concludes the timeline. The plot is messy. There's some Groundhog Day. The plot is, inspired by Groundhog Day. Many of the scenes don't make sense. They don't make sense. They don't contribute to the story. There are some mediocre, horrible characters, like the main protagonist, like his partner. There's a doctor. There's some, there's some, his wife and daughter. There's, like, Pinhead. Pinhead is barely in the movie, and he's not compelling or intriguing as he was in the previous installments. The Cenobites are dull. They have little personalities and little screen time. Um, yeah, because of the psychological horror direction, the film has some very confusing moments and tries to use the excuse of it being a psychological to cover up the errors. There are some Hellraiser aspects, such as the Lament Configuration and Cenobites, that are so lazy, uninspired, and are just shoved in. This is due to the original script not being a Hellraiser project. While it's understandable that the filmmakers aren't aiming to rely on gore, the gore and kills are still quite lame and underwhelming. Excuse me. And the kills don't match the Hellraiser series that well. And also, there's a plot hole. There is a plot hole in Inferno. At around 1 hour and 6 minutes, Joseph, the main character, is killed and wakes up in his bed with his wife. This goes against the rule that when Joseph is killed, he wakes up in the motel room where he solved the Lament Configuration. I just let that sink in. Let that plot hole sink in. And also, there are some mediocre cinematography and CGI effects. They're not really that best. I mean, I prefer the practical effects from the original, like, 3 films, like the original trilogy. And I don't know why this movie is called Inferno. It has nothing to do with fire. Inferno involve, when we think about Inferno, we think about fire. There's nothing about that. This shows that there was a little care put into making this a Hellraiser installment. Hellbound, the reason, let's talk about the titles of the other films. Hellbound makes sense. The title Hellbound makes sense because Kirsty is searching for her father who is stuck in hell. He is bound to hell. Hellraiser, Hell on Earth, makes sense because Pinhead's motivation is to literally bring hell on Earth. Bloodline makes sense because the story, even though it's not the best, even though the movie itself isn't good, it's starting to go downwards. It makes the title Bloodline makes sense because the story stretches out across 3 time periods, all focusing on different family members. Different family members, different, and some scenes are flat out ridiculous. One example is when Joseph gets randomly attacked by ninja cowboys. Like, what? What? And the pacing is inconsistent. Some of the parts happening so fast, other parts being dragged out for long periods of time, specifically the third act. And the ending is so underwhelming. It has an underwhelming plot twist about how Joseph created his own hell. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I love Scott Derrickson, but like, I don't even know what to say. And then like, I don't even, and Hellseeker had a little bit of a psychological horror in it. But yeah, this is, but yeah, Hellseeker, is like the final, I heard that it's the final, appearance of Kirsty. Kirsty, who was in the first 2 Hellraiser films, and apparently she had a cameo in the third one. But yeah, it involves a car accident. I don't even know what to say about that car accident where Kirsty might be dead, maybe not. I don't know. We don't know until the story reveals itself. And then there's Deader. I don't even know what to say about Deader too. Hellworld. Deader. I guess Deader is like excuse me. Deader. Involves like this group of I think the name Deader comes from the group of people, Cenobites, whatever. Yeah, and then Revelations, and then Judgment. I don't, yeah, I'm gonna skip through all. I'm gonna skip those. Hellworld. I want to go back to Hellworld. Like, I can't believe Hellworld had what's his name? Carrie Payton, and Henry fucking Cavill. I didn't know Henry Cavill was in Hellworld. This movie came out in 2005. Oh my god, like fucking Henry Cavill is in a fucking horror movie. I'm like, Henry, what are you doing here? I'm so glad. I'm so happy he gets to play. He would later play Superman, but like, I was so surprised. I didn't look up the cast list for Hellworld until like the ending, and then the credits, and then I saw Henry Cavill's name in the cast list, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. No, go back. Oh my god, that really is Henry Cavill. He looks so young. Wow. He had nothing to do with that. But anyway, that is all I have to say for the Hellraiser franchise, I would say the first three films are definitely, you should definitely, I mean, if you want to, I mean, it all depends on you. If you want to, you can go ahead and watch the first three films, maybe the fourth one, but after that, maybe the fourth one, if you want to, if you want to get to know and understand the origin of, the puzzle box. But yeah, don't watch anything after that. But yeah, don't watch anything after that because because the whole franchise just goes downwards, and I heard like wasn't I think blood was it Bloodline or it was Bloodline or Inferno. Yeah, no, it was Inferno. Yeah, excuse me. It was the Inferno. It was Inferno. That was straight to DVD because yeah, the first four. So yeah, Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hell on Earth, Bloodline, all of those four movies, the first four movies were released theatrically in theaters. Everything after that was like, everything after that was just like straight to DVD. Um, but yeah, I, even I am very happy, you know, that the new Hellraiser movie, which I did see, does take things. It does take a step towards the right direction. I don't know if I would say. You know what? I will post a separate review for Hellraiser. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything like that. But yeah, yeah. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say. If I were you, I would recommend. I mean, if you ask me, if you ask my suggestion, I would suggest watching the first three films. Like I said, if you want to get to understand and know the origin, if you want to, understand the origin of the puzzle box, you can watch Bloodline, the fourth, which is the fourth movie in the franchise. But after that, the fifth, Inferno, Seeker, Hellseeker, Deader, Hellworld, Revelations, Judgment. Skip all that because those are all shitty. Those are all like shit, absolute garbages of films. Absolute garbages of films. But yeah. So, in other words, I would watch the first four films. So, anyway, that's all I have to say for the Hellraiser franchise. I'm glad I got that out of the way. Let me know what you thought about it. Was there, what is your, what do you think about, the Hellraiser franchise? What do you think about, what's your favorite movie in this whole franchise, including the new one that just came out on Hulu? But just please don't spoil that. I'll post a separate video for that later. But yeah, just let me know about your thoughts about this franchise, the ups and downs, the best parts, the worst parts, all of that. Whatever is in your mind, what's your thoughts. Let me know about that, and I will see all of you lovely people really soon.